This is going to be a little bit of a discussion video, not so much a fragrance review. So if you're interested in what I have to say, then definitely stick around. So, discussion video. I haven't done one of these in a while. And if you see me looking a little bit ragged this morning, it's because I just woke up. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning and I was watching some videos. And I think the first video I watched was Justin Copeland showing the process of how they're decanting some of their fragrances and stuff. And I think JP Frags was the second video I watched, where he was talking about Fragcom and how, you know, he's kind of getting a little bored with the fragrances. And what stemmed all of that, what was the root of all of that, was Trey Scent's video that I watched after JP's video. And Trey and I talk a lot. I talk to Trey more than I talk to anybody else in Fragcom, period. We have more of a rapport. And I'm kind of feeling the same way about fragrances, which is why a lot of the last purchases that I made were more niche. I was trying to scratch an itch. I know a lot of people don't like when we talk about rack store videos and stuff like that, and they think that we're wasting our time. And I think because of the whole COVID thing, they're not getting the stock that they used to get. And that's why a lot of the shelves are bare. And I could be wrong, but I'm not going to stop going to rack stores looking for fragrances. I know somebody in one of my other videos said, it was a troll, said that they know that's why I went to the rack store, because I was looking for high-end fragrances. I should stop looking for niche and all this kind of stuff. And whoever it was, troll-wise, they're an idiot. Because you can, on occasions, find niche fragrances in the rack stores. I found Royal Water at a TJ Maxx. My boy Trey has found some Aqua de Parmas. He's found some Creed. There are posts on Facebook all over the place where people find Creeds and all kinds of stuff. I think who was it? Mo from Scent Nation found what is it? Memo, whatever it is. He found one of those fragrances in a TJ Maxx or a Marshalls or something like that. So for people to say idiotic stuff like that, I don't know where they're getting their information from, but apparently they don't frequent rack stores like some of us do. But that's besides the point. So I get what Trey is saying. A lot of the fragrances have been getting very, very redundant. But I blame that on fragrances like Aqua di Gio. And this is the most highest selling fragrance, or highest grossing fragrance, or most sold, or whatever fragrance of all time. And it's one of the safest fragrances on the market. Now, there are other fragrances besides this one that are safe, but this one is pretty much what started the whole safe trend. Now, like I said, I know there may have been fragrances that were safe way before this one, but popular amongst people, I blame it on this. So the trend, the most recent trend, are from fragrances like Sauvage, in which I'm not a huge fan of the EDT. I haven't worn the EDP or the Parfum much, but I wore the EDT a couple of days ago and it gave me a massive headache. And I probably won't be wearing this again. It probably will just sit on my shelf as a showpiece. The other fragrance I blame, Bleu de Chanel. Now, these, yes, are trend-setting fragrances for the recent millennia, and they do what they do for a reason. They're safe. I don't really find, Trey says he finds Sauvage to be bold. I don't really find it bold. It's just a really super mass appealing for some easy wear type fragrance. It's just okay to me. And that's going to ruffle some feathers. I don't find Dior Sauvage to be, I think it's overhyped. Personally speaking. And that's just me. Bleu de Chanel, I like a little better than Sauvage. But it's another one of those super safe, ultra versatile type fragrances. That's just my opinion. Some other things that have came out recently that I find okay type fragrances. And this is also going to ruffle a lot of feathers. And I'm pretty much past the point of caring. This is just my opinion. The newest one that just came out is Most Wanted by Azzaro. And my girlfriend doesn't even care much for fragrances like this. She don't really like sweet fragrances. I do. And I thought I was going to like be blown away by some of these. And they just smell like redundant purchases to me because the scent profile, the sweetness in them smells like the sweetness in almost every other fragrance. So I wasn't thrilled about that one. I have Armani Code Eau de Parfum. I wasn't thrilled about this one. I've smelled that scent before, that sweetness before. What is this? The Le Parfum of Bad Boy. I have that also. I wasn't blown away by the scent profile of this one. Just another one of those bubblegummy type fragrances. Valentino, what is this? Yellow Dream or something like that. I wasn't thrilled about this one either. I smelled it. Even the lady in the store where I got this from, she wasn't even impressed by this one. She didn't even care for it. So what am I getting at when I say that? I totally agree that these fragrance companies need to stop playing it safe and try giving us something that's a little bit different instead of all these flankers of a flanker of a flanker of a flanker. You come out with the OG, which in some cases are great fragrances. Case in point, you come out with Versace Eros, in which I didn't pull it down, it's behind me. And then you come out with Eros Flame. And I was excited because I thought it was going to be something spicy. I thought it was going to be something, different when it comes to the name Flame. And this is just another safe fragrance. For those who didn't like Eros and they like this one better, you just went from safe to safer. That's all you did. I like Eros Flame. I like Eros. They're just not. I mean, come on, man. Another one I want to talk about real quick. I was reading some of Trey's comments and somebody mentioned Armauff's El Cilio. And this does smell good. The problem I personally have with this fragrance is that it smells like Invictus. And I can't tell you how many times I've sat in front of this camera or stood in front of this camera and I said something smelled like Invictus. It's that same sweetness over and over and over again. And how hard is it to come up with a fragrance that doesn't smell like something else? I'm not a perfumer, so I don't know. I don't know what it takes to go through the steps. And somebody, I guarantee you, is going to say, well, if you're not a perfumer and you don't yada, 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 why are you going to judge? Because it's just pathetic, if you ask me, that these companies are just cash grabbing. And us as the consumer, we fall for it every time. Every time a new flanker comes out to something, we run out and go get it. And most of the time, we don't even pay attention to it because your favorite reviewer said that this was the fragrance that you need to have in your collection. How many times have we heard reviewers say that? I've said it. But I also say in some of my videos, and I need to start saying it more, don't just take my word for it. Go out and get you a sample. These stores are here for a reason. They're supposed to give you samples. When you go to Macy's or Dillard's or places that give out samples, they're supposed to give them to you. I know sometimes you get a hard time trying to get things. Case in point, Matt from Georgia Gent and I went to Nordstrom's in Jacksonville, Florida once. And we were looking, I took a picture. If you haven't seen it, I think I have a picture up somewhere of me standing in front of a Creed display. And the lady was nice, but when we asked for some samples, she acted like she didn't want to give them to him, like we were bothering her or something. And me and Matt and I were the only two people in the area at the moment. She acted like she was annoyed by us asking for samples. Then she said she didn't have any decant bottles. So what do? We went over to the Tom Ford section, and the guy was more than generous. He was like, oh yeah, guys, if you want some here. He gave us 2 handfuls of decant bottles. Hey, get whatever you want, guys. So we skipped over all the Tom Ford to go back and thinking that we were going to get some Creed decants. And what was the first thing that came out her mouth? She says, you can get anything you want, but you can't get any Creed. Why not? That's crazy. So go to these stores and you damn near got to demand that you get your decants. I have a box of samples, carded samples, and decants and stuff of fragrances. I went to my local Belks, and the guy, I don't even think the guy works there anymore, but he was a very nice guy. He actually was the one who sold me Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme and Missoni, the original Missoni Eau de Parfum. And when I asked him for some samples, he just reached in, had a little bag in his hand. He just reached into every drawer he had and just grabbed like handfuls and handfuls of stuff. But then if you go now to Belks and ask for samples, they're going to give you, the lady's going to give you, not bond number 9 because they don't sell that, but I'm just using this as an example. She going to give you one of these. She might give you one of something else, and that's going to be it. So go to your local stores and get your samples. Get your nose on this stuff before you spend your hard-earned money. You go out and spend $70, $80, $90, $120, $130, $40 for a fragrance, and then you're not happy with it, or it smells like something else, and then you're stuck with it because a lot of these places don't even accept returns, especially on fragrances, when you've opened them and sprayed them, because they don't know what you've done to the bottle. You could have decanted everything out and filled the bottle back up with water. But yeah, sample. Get samples before you go out and spend your hard-earned money for these fragrances. And stop listening to your favorite reviewer say that every single fragrance that he holds up in front of a camera, or she, is the best thing coming. That's a big mistake. Big mistake. I've been stopped listening to a lot of these reviewers when they talk about a lot of fragrances, because it's just not realistic, in my personal opinion, that every single fragrance you pick up and you hold up in front of a camera, the only thing you have to say is, this is the most beautiful fragrance, this is great, this is great, this is beautiful, this is that. There's no single way on God's green earth that every single fragrance you love. There has to be something about a fragrance you don't like. Either it's the performance, whether it's the projection, whether it's the packaging. It's got to be something somewhere you don't like. There's no way that every single fragrance you review is the best thing gunning. It's not. And if you think that's realistic, something is wrong with you. And this is probably going to come off to the naysayers, the haters, the trolls that I'm hating. I'm not hating. I'm just being realistic. I see this. I hear this all the time. People hype these fragrances to the high heaven, and not all of these fragrances are quote unquote all that. I think it's more up here. It's more mental that you're sitting in front of a camera and you're excited because your favorite reviewer is telling you to go out and buy such and such and so and so. I talked about this fragrance recently, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Forever. And you say, well, you're talking trash about the fragrance. Why do you have it? Number one, I'm a collector. And I have almost every other flanker before this one. So that's one reason why I have this fragrance. I smelled this even before I got it. And I already knew I didn't care for it. But I got it because I'm a collector. Now, this is definitely one of the most realistic grapefruit type fragrances that's on the market right now. I don't care for it because on my skin, when I wore it, it did not last. It didn't perform on me. And after that grapefruit, that realistic quote unquote grapefruit dies off, what was I left with? Not much. What was the last grapefruit fragrance that came out that was kind of hype? But then the hype just plummeted on it and you don't even hear people talk about it anymore. Dolce & Gabbana K. And I wasn't thrilled about this fragrance when it first came out. I even have the EDT. This is I think the EDP. Yeah. I didn't care for the fragrance even before I got my nose on it. But once I got my nose on it, I was like, oh, this is not bad. This is not a bad fragrance at all. It's really not. The performance on this on my skin is far superior than this one. Even though this doesn't smell as realistic with the grapefruit or the citrus opening, this is still a fantastic fragrance. And being that I just brought this out, I am wearing this today when I go to work. So I'm going to leave that one out. But that's a fantastic fragrance. K is. Performance on my skin is better. And I understand a lot of people are going to like this better than they like something else. We're not all going to agree on the same things. And I get this. So don't sit on here and think that I'm just spewing out these points. This is just my opinion. I understand that not everybody's going to like the same things. I understand that not everybody is going to, not like the same things. That's what makes this beautiful. But it's just these companies need to do better. Another one that I wasn't thrilled with, and yes, I have this because I'm a collector and I have the other ones. Victory by Paco Rabanne. And to me, this is just on the dry down another vanilla type fragrance. Simple as that. Another fragrance that came out, in which I don't think I have it anymore. Banana Republic's Black Walnut Legend. When I saw that, I was excited because Black Walnut, when I first smelled it, I didn't care for it. And that was at the beginning of my journey. And that's a totally different scent from Legend. What Legend is another cash grab by Banana Republic of Aventus. You do get an Aventus vibe. It's not an exact clone, but you do get that vibe from it. And I'm thinking, why? I understand you trying to make money. You trying to jump on the bandwagon with this whole Creed thing, which is, to me, overdone. Even the actual Creed, depending on what batch variation you have, isn't the same. I've heard that the quality, since they've done whatever they've done with the Creed fragrances, the performance isn't as good. People are not satisfied with what they're purchasing. Hell, the bottle that I have isn't the same as the one Trey has. I think Trey has like the 4 point something bottle, which is the older batch, and his smell fantastic. He gave me a decan of it and I love it. I love his better than I like mine. So that was a cash grab. Another company that had a great thing going, Dior. Dior Homme Intense is one of the most popular fragrances from the house of Dior, and I love it. And what did they do, and which is an understandable marketing venture, they went safe. They went mass appealing. They went crowd pleasing. Not a lot of people talk about this fragrance, but Dior Homme 2020. And I see exactly what they did, and I wasn't mad at them for it. Doesn't smell like anything that I've smelled before, at least in my collection, but they went safe. I can't remember what was the company, which is going to be another point why a lot of these companies go safe. I can't think of the fragrance, but I heard about it when I first came into Fragcom. All right, I apologize for that. That was my alarm going off. It stopped my video. 6 o'clock. It's time for me to get up and start getting ready to go to work. But I can't remember what company it was that came out with a fragrance, and it wasn't a safe or mass appealing type fragrance, and it didn't sell well, and they discontinued it almost as soon as they put it out. That's one reason why a lot of these companies don't go they don't veer off the beaten path. They don't do a lot of daring and bold fragrances because it's not well received. So I do get it. We try and recommend fragrances that aren't high end, that are in the same vein or kind of give you the same vibe as another popular fragrance. And sometimes it's not well received. There are a few people who will see these videos and they'll appreciate it, but the masses, they don't really care. If it's not something that's popular or has a popular name or has some kind of, if it doesn't have Alberto Moriles or whatever his name is behind it, then people aren't gonna, like, they're not gonna care. Case in point, CH Men. Now I know CH Men does not have the best performance. It smells good. Probably not the best in performance, but it's still a good fragrance. I think it's discontinued and they've been selling this newer batch, in which I'm not even sure if this one's still in circulation, but it's a little different than the older one. But if you don't want to spend what they're asking for this, when I first started doing reviews, I highly recommended Bentley Momentum Intense because it gave me the exact same vibe as CH Men. But because in most cases it doesn't have that logo on the front of it, most people don't care about this because they're like, oh, that's a car company. Car companies don't make good fragrances, and they've never even gotten their nose on this to even see. It's damn near identical to this. And this is far more inexpensive. You also get a bigger size bottle, in which most people don't care about that. But I mean, when are people gonna wake up, man, and smell the roses or smell the fragrances? We give great options sometimes, and people are just, it's just falling on deaf ears. People just don't care. If it doesn't have their favorite name on it, Dior or Creed or whatever, they're not gonna care. Which sometimes it gets discouraging, and it makes me feel like, well, if people aren't going to care because the views on certain videos aren't where you think they should be, why even do this? For some of us, it's just a passion. Yes, I have monetized my videos, but besides that, I don't even put out as much content as I used to. So that says a lot. It's not really about the money for me. I don't even make that much doing this. So another good fragrance that came out that wasn't super expensive, but being that it was in a certain type of bottle and it has a certain name on it, a lot of people didn't care for it. This bad boy, Moschino Toy Boy. This did not, in my opinion, smell like anything I had smelled before. I don't even have anything in my collection that smells like this. Great atomizer, as you just saw. Look at that. But being that a lot of guys aren't going to want to have some teddy bear looking fragrance bottle sitting on their shelf, a lot of guys didn't like it. A lot of guys don't like the scent profile of this. I love it. It's different. It's not your run-of-the-mill safe fragrance. But a lot of people didn't care. They overlooked it. Let me give you an example of a fragrance that is really, really good. And I overlooked because I wasn't a fan of the Hugo line of fragrances, Hugo Boss. There are certain ones that I was into, like the what was it? The one that smelled like the apple pie, the Hugo Boss. I forgot the name of it, but anyway, I wasn't a fan of this brand of Hugo Boss. And another reviewer was like, "Man, you should try that Hugo Iced." And I'm like, whatever. And he sent it to me. I sprayed it and I told Trey about it. I said, "Man, I don't know about this one." I sprayed it while I was on the phone with him. And I sprayed it in the air and I sprayed it on my hand. And during that phone conversation, I said, "I don't know, man. This ice starting to smell pretty damn good." So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And the video is up. I wish I knew how to put the links in the videos because I'm not advanced like other people are. But I made a video and I said how I wore this to my girlfriend's house. I went to go pick up my son. And this was lingering in her house after I left. She actually texted me while I was pulling up at my mom's house. I actually was getting out of my truck to get my son out of his car seat. And she texts me and says, "Whatever you're wearing, I like it." She said it's still in my house right now. And I told her what it was. And I said, "It's Hugo Iced." And she said, "Well, I like Hugo." But you don't see a lot of people talk about this fragrance. Because number one, from a standpoint of the reviewer, most of the time we're looking to get views. And if something is not going to get us views, a lot of times we don't talk about it. And I mentioned this in one of my last videos, the reason why I haven't been doing a lot of Sensual Obsessions, Dapper, 3-in-1. I haven't been doing a lot of those videos because they don't get views. And of course, I'm a reviewer. I have a channel. I want my channel to be successful. I want my channel to do good. I don't just want to have a half-ass channel out here where I'm just barely doing anything. I want it to do something. I'm not trying to be the next Jeremy Fragrance or the next, whoever. I'm just trying to do what I like to do and be somewhat successful at it if I can be. I don't put a lot of time and effort into my channel like I used to. I'm just now getting to the point where I understand editing and where I understand analytics a little bit. I'm not the greatest mastermind at stuff like this, but I do want my channel to do good, which is why I kind of veered away from doing a lot of those videos. But with that being said, it's not fair to those companies that they send me samples and decants of stuff and I'm not really reviewing them like I used to, which is why I said in that video also that I'm going to start doing more of those reviews again, because those companies have been doing great things, even though they are a lot of clone house things. And I do also understand that For some people, it's more about the entirety of a fragrance, not just one aspect of it, which is one thing a lot of those companies do. They only focus on either the opening, the mid, or the dry down of a fragrance. You don't get all three. So I understand why some people don't want to venture out and deal with cologne houses like Dapper, 3-in-1, Sensual, companies like that. I get it. I understand. Which is why I want to say this. Another company, before I get to my next point, another company that is very, very good, but is also a clone house, Parfums Vintage. And I recently have just started getting into these because I didn't know that they made clones of popular fragrances. Some of them are discontinued fragrances that they clone. So if you're looking for something discontinued, check out Parfums Vintage and see what you can find. Some of these are very affordable. They're not as astronomically high as I thought they was. I went on the website. You can get discount codes. You also can do where you make payments. I forgot what the name of it is called, but you can make payments on the fragrances, stuff like that. And I know somebody going, oh man, who wants to do like a layaway thing? And I'm like, dude, it's not even like that. You make your first payment, which is what? If you got to pay $80, $70, $80, $90, you might pay maybe $13, $17 or something like that for like 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. Who can't afford that, man? You make a payment. They send you the fragrance. I have the box, one of the boxes right here in my hand of this one. And I still got, I think, 2 more payments left. But I got the fragrance. So, but anyway, this is another company that they make money off of cloning fragrances. And that is one reason why I got wise. I got hip to the game. And instead of buying, all of their Creative Vintage clones, I go for the stuff that's either original or the discontinued type fragrances. I don't go and buy like Dior Sauvage, their formulation of Dior Sauvage from Parfums Vintage. Why would I do that when I got Sauvage already? So people have to be smart when they do stuff like that. But the point I want to make is, if you are looking for different, you have to be careful what you ask for. Because once you start diving into niche, that territory can be a little treacherous at times. And a lot of fragrances are not going to be meant for a lot of people. And niche is very artistic in some cases. Miguel Matos is a very artistic house. Nasamato is very artistic. Homage can be very artistic. And one of the only bottles I believe I have from Homage so far is Figment, or Figment Man, which is this one. It says Figment, but I don't know where I get the Figment Man from. I've seen that before. But this is Eau de Parfum Concentration. And when I first smelled this fragrance, I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? What does this smell like besides this being a beautiful bottle with a magnetic cap? This smells like dirt. Like wet soil almost. And this is not going to be the most appealing type fragrance to a lot of people. Henceforth, that's why you have to sample these things before you just run out and buy. Now, I did get this one at a very good price on Mercari once, which is why I have it, and I only have one. I do want to get my hands on more bottles from this company, but it's going to take some time. So you have to be careful what you wish for when you're looking to go into niche, because this is very uncharted water And a lot of people aren't into niche when it comes to fragrances like this one. Another one that I know some people who aren't on that level yet are not going to appreciate, from Nishane Caragos. I actually love it because it has a fruity aspect to it, but it does change. So you have to be careful what you wish for. Another company, Tower. Let's see if I can open this. This one is hyped by Ashton over at Gent Sense. And no, I did not get a sample of this, but I saw this at a decent price and I just jumped on it. And I actually like this fragrance. Smells pretty good. Definitely different. It's like nothing I have in my collection. This is L'air du Désert Moroccan. I guess I butchered that name, but number 2. Let's see if I can get it to show up. Another different fragrance that I know a lot of people aren't gonna like. So you have to be careful, like I said before, of what you wish for. Not all niche is gonna be an easy wear for a lot of people. Let's see. A fragrance company you cannot mention without somebody cringing is Zoologist. And I've been trying to tell people Victor Wong is a great guy. But I was in a live stream not too long ago, and somebody mentioned Zoologist, how they couldn't stand it. They don't even want to try it. And I'm like, I jumped in the comment section and I told them, I was like, those fragrances are not what you think. They are artistic, very artsy. They are different. They're not your run-of-the-mill fragrance that you're gonna just grab one day and just spray on. And that's one thing that a lot of people also they get deterred by, is because you can't just, it's not an easy reach fragrance. Of course, you're gonna have to find an occasion to wear this, but a lot of these fragrances do not smell like what you think. Like when you see one that says rhinoceros or something, then somebody was like, rhinoceros, that's probably gonna smell like rhinoceros dung and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, no, it's not necessarily gonna smell like that. I mean, there are notes in these that kind of make things smell animalistic, a little, you know, prehistoric smelling, but for the most part, some of these fragrances smell pretty damn good. I actually like the house. I understand it better. I understand what Victor was going for when he made these fragrances. And that's one thing that people have to understand. You have to understand why the fragrance was made and what was he aiming for. He made them for a reason. They are popular in that lane for a reason. I understand if that reason isn't for you, if those fragrances aren't for you. But, you know, I see people in the comment section sometimes of videos and they just are dogging fragrances. I tell you, if I don't like something or if it didn't work for me, and that's all I can do. I'm not going to go in there and say, oh, that's trash, it's such and such. And I see it all the time. People just get so bent out of shape when it comes to fragrances. Another company that is doing big things, Argos. And they even made the fragrances a little bit more affordable recently, where they went to a 30 ml bottle size. And I do have an actual bottle of it over there, but this is just a carded sample that I have of Triumph of Bacchus. They made them 30 ml sizes because I guess people were saying that the prices were out of reach for some people. And not all of us want to spend, you know, $150, $200, $300 on a fragrance. I get that also, which is why there are samples out there. But samples for the collector doesn't really work, because who wants to have like a boat ton of samples? You can't display these. You know what I'm saying? Like like how I have my stuff displayed, and this, I haven't always had them like this, but you can see I have mine displayed, which looks nice. It's eye candy for the viewer. You can't display a lot of carded samples. And even if you could, nobody's going to be able to actually see it. Like, you can see the X up there for Xerjoff. You can see the Bond number 9 right there. You can see the Parfums de Marley's. Some of this stuff down here you can see, like the Lamals over here. You can see on this end the 1 millions. Behind me over here, you can see my most recent purchase of Crypto Mint by Mugler. You can see the box right there for Banana Republic. If you look close, right there is the Triumph of Bacchus box right there. So, I mean, it's eye candy for people, but if you're not doing this for yourself and you're doing it for your channel, then I understand that a lot of this kind of stuff. But these carded samples are really important, especially when it comes to you making a decision like spending $200-300 on a fragrance, $150 on a fragrance, even $100 on a fragrance, and you end up not liking it. So a lot of conscious effort has to be put into what you're doing and where you're spending your money. This fragrance by Western Valley London, this is one of their signatures. I smelled this on a Hispanic guy, a Mexican guy, one time when I was working at the hardware store. And I asked him, I was like, damn, man, that smells good. What do you have on? And he couldn't remember. He said his old lady bought it for him at some store in Jacksonville. So I was like, damn, I may not never be able to find that, because I don't even know. So he was like, well, just give me your number and I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to you. And he did. And it was of this bottle. So I went online, I looked it up, and it was like almost $300, like $250 or $200 or something like that. I couldn't remember, but I was like, nah, this was like early on in my journey. I was like, nah, I'm good. I wasn't even at that point in time. I had no niche, none of that. I just had just straight cheapies. And fast forward a few months ago, and we were in my local mall, the store that I used to go to. It had closed down, and they just reopened in another spot. So the lady was like, are you into Middle Eastern fragrances? And I was like, yes, ma'am. So she took me over to the section, and as soon as I saw the bottle, I was like, let me get that. I said, let me smell that one. She sprayed it, and I was like, damn, that's it. That's the one I've been looking for. Price was $200. I was like, nah, I'm good, man. So I let my girlfriend smell it, and lo and behold, I didn't know she was gonna go back and get it. She went back and got it. So this is another one of them fragrances that isn't like, oh my God, look at that atomizer. That is unlike anything in my collection, but you're going to pay for it. $200 is a lot of money to spend on a fragrance. That's why I say, when you go into these stores, smell these fragrances, sample them. If you can get a decant of it, get you a decant, wear it for a couple of days if they give you enough, and see before you go out and spend $200 on a fragrance, blind buying, listening to your favorite reviewer. So I know I probably was all over the place when it comes to, these points, but I get what Trey was saying. I get what JP was saying when it comes to these fragrances. A lot of this stuff is redundancy. And that is why I haven't been buying a lot of fragrances when I walk into TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross, Burlington. I'm very selective now of what I pick up. I don't just go to the store and pick up just because, Julio Iglesias said, that hippity hoopla is the next best thing. No, I think I'm gonna wait and see if I can get a sample of it somewhere, or if I can smell it and then I'll go from there, because I'm not just going to keep running to the store and just keep blind buying fragrances and it smells like the one I just purchased days ago. Like, I'm not doing that. So I get what people are saying, the redundancy of everything. These companies are playing it safe for a reason. They're playing it safe because they know it's been proven that making something bold and daring, with the exception of something like Dior Homme Intense, which is daring with that iris. A lot of men don't really like the iris. This is more of a classy gentleman type scent. But playing it safe works for them. It doesn't always work for us. So you have to look at who is benefiting. If they're making money easily hand over fist when it comes to playing it safe, I get their standpoint. But from the consumer standpoint, some of us are kind of tired of the same old, all these safe fragrances, all these, cash grabs on trying to make something that smells like, the next popular thing like Creed Aventus. What do? And one other thing before I go, chasing the next best thing, or chasing, it's almost like an addiction. They say the first high is the high that you're always chasing after that. You're never going to get that same high as your first high unless you move to another drug. And then once you get that high, you're going to be chasing that high, which you have to move to another drug that's going to give you a higher high than, like, it's crazy. And that's what we're doing. We started off in the cheapy world with fragrances like this, and then we get tired of them, and then you try to find something a little bit better, which I'll move up to this. So you move from this, the cheapy, you move up to this, then you get tired of this, and you're looking for something that's going to give you that next fix, which you move up to niche. Where do you go after this? And I also hear people say, love what you have. We love what we have. In some cases, we're just bored with what we have. It's almost like the vehicle that you drive. You may love it when you first get it. You're ecstatic. Your heart's racing. The adrenaline is pumping. The endorphins, or whatever you want to call it. You get that high, that thrill, that fix. And after you've driven that car for about a couple of years, you don't feel the same way about it. When you first get that new car, you wash it all the time. You vacuum it out. You got your new spray. You got your air fresheners hanging and stuff like this. And you don't want scratches on it. You park 100 miles away from the grocery store, away from all other vehicles. And then what happens, like maybe a couple of years after you done had the vehicle and you got that ding, that little scratch in it, or you got a little dirt on the carpet. Then you start trying to find the closest spot to the grocery store. All of a sudden, you don't care now if you get a little ding or a little nick in the door. Your kids drop French fries in the car or whatever, and you like, oh, don't worry about it. It's the same way with fragrances. So for those people who keep saying, love what you have and all this kind of stuff, well, we understand what you're saying, but you also have to take into consideration things do get old. So with that being said, y'all, this was a fun little video, a little discussion. Chime in, let me know what you think. Like I said, I know I was all over the place with my viewpoints, but I do understand where Trey and JP and other reviewers, I saw some of the comments in your video, Trey. And a lot of people do understand, a lot of people do get it, and there are going to be people who are going to be naysayers that just are gung-ho. They're just gung-ho about their fragrances, and I just love what I love, and I'm guarantee you they have something in their collection that they don't reach for as much as they used to. So it is what it is, y'all. But I got to get out of here because I got to get to work. So here is to smelling great. And one more thing, we were in the path of that hurricane that was coming through. We did get some heavy rain, a little wind last night, but it wasn't as bad as we thought. I actually slept through the whole thing. I turned on a movie and I fell asleep on the movie. I was tired, but it's pretty safe to say we're probably out of harm's way. It's calm outside. I opened the door and looked outside before I started recording this video, and yeah, it's calm. Not a lot happened. We did lose power once when it first started for like maybe a few seconds. It went off and came back on, but for the most part, I think we're over it. Another fragrance real quick that you all need to get your hands on, Sean John 3 AM. I wasn't a huge fan of this one, and this is my backup bottle. I have a smaller bottle of it, but it's still in the cellophane. Sean John 3 AM. I did not care about this fragrance. I kept like hearing a lot of hype. Darian, the bow tie fragrance guy, talked about it. Justin Copeland talked about it a lot, and I had it the first time. I didn't care for it. I took it back, and then I don't know, I guess just watching their videos again, and it made me want to try it again. Pretty inexpensive. I think you can get this 3.4 ounce bottle, 100 ml, for like 20 bucks. The other one, I think like between 12 and 15 bucks, something like that, for I think it's the 30 ml. But this is a very good fragrance. The performance may not be the greatest depending on your body chemistry, but this smells pretty damn fantastic, man. I love it. This has an atomizer like none other. It can compete with some of the other atomizers like I just showed you. But very good fragrance, Sean John 3 AM. And I don't know if I told you, my scent of the day for yesterday was Carolina Herrera's 212 VIP Man, the one in the square silver bottle. I think JP wore that yesterday, and I commented in this video and told him that was my scent of the day for yesterday. So that's it, y'all. I am out of here. Let me know in the comment sections what you think, if I had some valid points, if my points were trash, whatever the case may be. Make sure also that you subscribe to this channel if you're not a subscriber. Like these videos, thumbs up, share the videos, definitely be active in the comment section. I'm out, y'all. Peace.